Is the shade? I mean, is the sunlight okay?
Yeah. I mean, it's coming. You can see it on the. You can see it on there. I mean, it's really up to you if you care.
Does it look like the sunlight is cutting my throat?
Yes.
Okay, then
It's
let's
kind of
keep it.
cool. Yeah, it's kind of cool looking, honestly. And so I guess I can do a quick intro.
Wow.
Yeah. So let's see. So hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome again to another episode of Kill.This Podcast. There we go. All right, that's fine. I've
Awesome.
I've been trying to add features. I just added this the other day, or
I love it.
I don't know. Can you hear that? So,
That's great. I like that.
but yes, we
It's
are
a good
doing.
one for. It's actually a good kind of X-Files story for literary nerds like us.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Do you watch much X Files? I don't want to
I
assume.
I never watched much X-Files. I've seen
Yeah,
episodes here and there. I usually liked what I saw. I understood its roots. I mean, at some point we can do an episode on it.
yeah.
You know.
I'm the same way. Like I haven't watched a ton of it, but Ray's a big fan, so if
Ah,
we'll watch it together every once in a while if it's on.
oh, nice.
But
When you
yeah,
say it's on, do you have regular TV to watch regular TV, or is it on
yeah,
a?
yeah. We have like our I feel our TV came with like cable. I don't know if it's like a did like is if it's because we're not connected to cable or anything, but our TV just has channels on it. And so like if you turn it on, it'll go to the channels. I feel like it's some must be some internet connection. Maybe it's because it's a Samsung TV. Maybe it's like a Samsung thing. I don't know. But yeah,
Do you
we
think
have
do you
channels.
do you think that you might be one of the channels that people are turning you on and watching you as you turn it on?
I mean, I'm not getting paid for it, so so I hope not. I need to be the one profiting from that. So if anybody's watching this right now, please like send some donations my way because I very much am not receiving any sort of funding from any entertainment value so
We
far.
should we should we
So
should
far,
get we should do all the things that other YouTube channels do.
like and subscribe.
Subscribe, like it, subscribe to it,
Yeah,
send money to our Patreon. We have no bonus episodes anywhere. Uh,
yeah,
not yet.
yeah. And I feel
I,
like
I, you know, I don't think we should ever have bonus episodes. I think if but get a Patreon and uh put it together, pie, and then and but no bonus episodes. I kind of don't
yeah,
believe in bonus episodes because then you're shortchanging people who might not have the money for Patreon or
right.
might not like us enough for Patreon. They have more important stations to give their money to for Patreon.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I can really think of is I do like some light editing just when like we mess up or I mess up in particular. And so I'll like just cut that out. So the only thing would think is like if they want the truly unedited experience, fuck ups and all, maybe. But we could put that on Patreon or something, but yeah.
Fuck ups and all. I happen to love fuck ups. If you watch a lot of uh there's a lot of stuff that happens that is actually great in fuck ups.
Yeah.
Uh I can't think of any examples right now,
Well,
but I know
we had
I
a
know
really good one.
at the end of movies when they show like uh whatever some oh my god, I can't even think of what the name of anything.
Yeah.
I will say here's a I'm in the middle of a fuck up right now.
We had a
And is
really
it
good one last time too. That was the one last time was really good. I left a little bit of it in where
okay?
we were talking about like I don't know being I don't know, being shut down for some reason, and then the audio cut, and it was just like the perfect time, the
Oh
perfect
yeah,
timing. So I kept
yeah,
in like part of that, but I left, but I cut out like me fixing it
yeah.
because I feel like it just kind of cut the flow of conversation. But yeah, I
Right.
absolutely agree that there are times when it just happens to work out. Synchronicity, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah. 100%.
um,
Is it a coincidence?
or is it synchronicity? Okay.
I love it. I love it. Okay,
Okay,
so we got a good one today.
we got a great one today. Today, folks,
Yeah.
long awaited, I think, for both of us. For whatever reason, I feel like it's been getting pushed off a little bit, but I'm glad we're here now. Today, we are doing Confederacy of Dunces. All right. Confederacy of Dunces, John Kennedy Toole. New Orleans classic, almost an instant classic. Unfortunately, it was buried for years. John Kennedy unfortunately took his own life before he was able to see really the fruits of his labors. But there's a lot surrounding it, and the story itself is just, of course, wonderful. We urge you to go read it if you haven't read it yet. So yeah, without further ado, Kill.This.Podcast take on a Confederacy of Dunces. that's
All right.
that's all I got.
All right. So the book is written from a New Orleans character, John Kennedy Toole, and he wrote it in about 1961
Mm-hmm.
when he was in the army, actually, on a base in Puerto Rico. He was actually teaching uh, literacy of some kind on the
He
base,
was teaching
and then
English.
English, yeah,
Yeah, he was
and
bilingual.
yeah, and but this guy, uh, I almost don't know if we should go right into what the story is or his background.
Yeah.
It's so hard to know. I almost think that the
Yeah.
story first and then the background, or maybe a little bit about the background. I
I'm
don't know.
I'm down with that. That's how I have my notes arranged. Actually, I have the story first, and then some more details about what was going on outside. So yeah,
Oh,
that works for
okay,
me.
great. So, do you want me to do what the storyline is?
Yeah, give us the rundown and your takes.
The 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 funniest book I've ever read,
Yeah.
and the funniest book that a lot of people have ever read, and it won the Pulitzer Prize after after he committed suicide. He was. It's a story about an overweight, overbearing incel
Yeah, a proto
before the
incel.
before before there was that name, and
Mm-hmm.
we'll get into those details of the ways in which there's similarities between him and incels. But he's living in his mom's house.
Mm-hmm.
He was a medieval scholar. He lost the love of his life, uh, who he doesn't even realize is the love of his life. Not really, and he's not working, and he has gas problems.
Yeah, yeah.
The word
Indigestion.
fart the word fart is never used, but when he releases that valve,
Uh-huh.
you can be sure that people had to leave the room.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So he's living with his mom, and but he's the book starts with him waiting outside homes. It's a department store in New Orleans, and
Mm-hmm.
there is in fact a statue of him under the clock that's there now,
Yeah.
and it's amazing. And I highly recommend everyone to go to New Orleans and take the book with you. And as you read the book, uh, go along the route. I could see us actually writing a map. It's the most incredible, detailed uh, New Orleans descriptions from a man who grew up there.
Mm-hmm.
He knew the city inside and out, and he was willing to write about it. And he was the author was an amazing comic, known for his comic abilities and descriptions in general. And he put everything into the book. And
Good.
he's standing outside this department store when ICE approaches him. Oh, I mean, just a cop
Might as
undercover.
well be. I mean, yeah.
It might as well be, because the cop has no reason for asking him for his citizenship or anything. He's an
Uh-huh.
undercover cop looking for characters,
Yes.
and uh, he sees Ignatius J. Riley, uh, with he's wearing winter kind of clothing with a flap, like a hunter's cap
Yeah.
and a tweed jacket, and he's outside of he's weird in being outside of the element of weirdness. Like he's got he's got lute strings, not guitar strings. He's clearly from another dimension, so it's perfect that he's underneath this clock. And the cop creates a fracas with him, and Ignatius isn't going to take shit from this cop, and a
Mm-mm.
whole scene develops. And then you meet another character who becomes an important element. Who's so much of the first chapter are people that you're going to meet throughout the book.
Right.
So there's this old man who's he's claiming that the cop is acting like a communist. Uh, uh, and Hold on a second. Rachel is bothering me. Why? I got.
All right, we could take a break.
God
Take
damn
a
it! Let
quick
me just
pause.
tell her she forgot.
Okay.
Let me just tell her that I'm in the.
Yeah, it's all good.
Uh, okay. Sorry about that.
And see, this is
So,
what our premium members can enjoy if they subscribe to the
actually,
Patreon.
right. If we had the Patreon
Yeah.
for that, I would have taken the call live.
Wow. Okay. There are tiers. Okay, I'll remember that when when I get it set up.
So he is so there's the old man, and now and he's Ignatius is saying he's waiting for his mother, who's just buying pastries in
Mm-hmm.
this department store.
Mm-hmm.
And they must have had good pastries in the department store, even though New Orleans has fantastic pastries throughout the town.
I've heard.
uh, yeah, it's a really great town. I used to go there every year, practically, and it's still wonderful. I've been there before, and I actually have a story about Rachel and me going to New Orleans, where and this will come later, but I'll just say now that Rachel has experienced hauntings in her
Mm.
life,
Okay.
and she's had a couple in New Orleans, and I'll tell you about what happened later.
Yeah, please
Uh,
do.
so anyway, so there's a fracas, and the mother comes, and Ignatius runs off, and the cop Mancuso takes in the old man as his weirdo character. And so the sergeant, when the sergeant sees this old man, what are you doing? Well, I asked
Mm-hmm.
you to pick up characters and weirdos, and you bring in a grandpa, and the grandpa is like part of every kind of group. And he said, but he called all policemen communists. And then the sergeant says, well, okay, we're not going to just let him go. We're also going to make his family come pick him up as punishment. While in that precinct, and this is again still chapter 1, there's a character named Jones there. He's African American.
Mm-hmm.
He wears sunglasses, and he is the funniest motherfucker on the planet. He just,
Oh.
oh, he just knows how to sound off,
Mm-hmm.
like like a brilliant comedian. You know, I mean, when I first read the book, I thought Eddie Murphy should play him in the movie, and we'll
Yeah.
talk about all the different attempts at making that movie too. That was
Mm-hmm.
quite an interesting part of the dark history of the other side of the humor is this really dark, tragic element
Right.
to this book. But sticking with the fun part, he so Ignatius and his mother end up in a bar because they're running away from the cops and they from Mancuso, who they think is, and they end up in a bar called the Night of Joy. And the Night of Joy is, actually, uh, that's my favorite kind of bar to end up in. You
Yeah.
know, where old man's bar typically, and there's a woman who's working there trying to get people to drink watered down drinks, and what's her name? Dolores? No, I
Oh,
don't know.
the dancer, the stripper.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
something
that's a
with a
great idea.
D. Anyway, and then and she's talking to them, and the bartender's trying to get rid of them, and then the owner comes in and is pissed that this mother and son or weirdos are sitting there. It doesn't bring in business, and uh and then there's fracas in the bar, and a bottle is broken, and the owner says, I got to get a janitor. And then a little later, it's Jones, this character from the precinct,
Mm-hmm.
who's making fun.
Mm-hmm.
He gets arrested for stealing nuts, and he doesn't have the nuts, and the
Yeah.
cops tell him. So he's brought in also without any, he's also brought in by ICE. There's no reason for bringing him in. He doesn't have the nuts. He didn't steal anything, and they tell him that he has to get a job, or they're gonna arrest him for vagrancy if he doesn't. If they find him again and he doesn't have a job, so he goes to the Night of Joy and he gets a job at Night of Joy, and but in the meantime, Ignatius and his mother get into a car accident, and they break the railing of a house, and the cop, actually Mancuso, does find them, and instead of bringing them in for the crime that they did,
Mm-hmm.
uh, he uh, he lets them go. He talks to the owner and says that they owed this amount of money, and the mother is upset because she doesn't have that money. They don't have money, and concerned. She's concerned about losing the house.
Sure.
She says, Ignatius, you got to get a job. So Ignatius goes out. He doesn't want to get a job. He's got a he's got an incel attitude about work, and he everything is the fault of society,
Mm-hmm.
and he's always pointing the finger. Yet he doesn't want to be a participant in society. And but he does go out and he gets a job in a factory, Levi Pants, and he likes the job, and he's a file clerk, and he's got a degree. He's got a master's, uh, and he just throws out all the files instead of doing any of the
Uh-huh.
work of filing. He just throws everything out, and the manager thinks he's doing a great job. And there's so many weird, odd characters that I don't want to miss out on. Like there's the character that's in the bar that buys the mother's hat for $15.
Oh yeah, the oh
He's
god,
like
what's his name? I got a list of
Dorian
Dorian Green.
Dorian Green,
Yeah.
in
And
sort of instead of Dorian Gray instead of
Hey, I didn't
Oscar
even notice
Wilde.
this.
Dorian Gray. So
Yeah.
and John Kennedy Toole, he was extremely literate. The author, he did his master's at
Cool.
Columbia
Yeah.
in a year. He
Yeah.
graduated high school at 16, and a lot of the book is focused on the relationship between the mother and the son, and his life mimics that, and we'll get to that
Yeah.
later.
He was a child prodigy, basically, or a child
Totally,
genius.
yeah, child
And
prodigy whose mother pushed him and pushed him and
yeah,
pushed him.
she was a show mom. Well, she was a performer as well, but she was
Right.
also a show mom. And I think we've all heard about those types of mothers. Um, yeah, and it's yeah. I mean, we'll get to more talking about her because she's a whole
Yeah.
discussion in and of herself. I think.
So, right. So then, so where are we? We're at the point where he has so he's got the job at Levi,
Mm-hmm.
and he's in conversation with the love of his life that he doesn't know is the love of his life, the exact opposite of him, and she's from the Bronx, and they went to school together, and she's a radical leftist while he is right wing, and they're
Mm-hmm.
in the letter writing conversations, and it's another part. Her presence haunts everything that Ignatius does in
Right.
this book. It's another part of the haunting aspects of this book, is their relationship that isn't one for
And
the
it
most
reaches
part.
and her character reaches outside of the book too, and also haunts the author. We can talk about that a
Yes.
little later too.
Yeah. And so he loses his job at Levi Pants. He writes this obnoxious letter to one of the people from Levi Pants, and that brings up who, you got the owner of Levi Pants and his wife is tormenting and always calling Levi Pants owner. I
Mm-hmm.
forgot it. Gus. No, Gus, right?
Yes,
Gus.
Gus Levy, Gus Levi
Yes.
Levy.
uh, which isn't a typical name that I usually associate with Levi's, but okay.
Yeah.
Gus, uh, Gus is, he doesn't want to. He took over his father's business. He doesn't
Mm-hmm.
really want it. He's a gambler. He wants to play the ponies. He's got a hot rod, and his wife is always calling him a loser and bothering him.
Yes,
And uh, and
and
then
it's yeah.
and in the office there's an old lady who doesn't want to be working anymore, but the wife of Gus thinks that she's helping this woman, to this old lady who wants to retire, and she keeps thinking that she's doing this old lady a favor by keeping her around. Now the old lady is so out of it, she sleeps at work. She thinks that Ignatius is a woman. She calls her Gloria, uh, and so that what happens after that? Pi, what's the next thing after he leaves Levi? Oh,
He has to get another job. Well, he
he has to get
goes
another
home
job,
and gets bitched at by his mother.
right? And so he goes, and he's not someone who, and I understand this next part well,
Mm-hmm.
where he knows that he has to do something, and he'll go out into the world and look for any excuse to escape and go to the movies.
Yes. Yeah.
And at the movies he screams at the screen, he yells, he scares the people in the audience, and he's he's derogatory about the sexuality that he's seeing on the screen. Anytime there's sexuality, he's repressed.
Mm-hmm.
He sees something on the screen or some sexuality, and at the same time that he's screaming negative stuff about it, he wants to see more of it, to examine it, in the same way that it happens in today's world, where right wing people could be very much against AOC, but they want to hear everything that she has to wear.
Yeah, it's funny because they talk about not only sexuality but youth, and it's like those are his favorite movies, are movies with young, sexy people. But those are also the
Yes,
movies that get him the most upset.
right. And
What a
I'm glad.
coincidence!
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because even when he's home watching television, he's watching the dance show
Right,
and
exactly.
complaining about all the dancers.
Hmm. His
And
hate watch, his hate watch.
yeah, and so there's aspects, the way that he writes about John Kennedy Toole, the way he figures out how to write about masturbation without like it's
Yeah, I
just an
took some
amazing,
notes on that.
it's a crack up of a book. You're gonna read this book and just laugh out loud at everything. Doesn't matter that I'm telling you this story. Just doesn't. I don't think it matters that you know the whole story, that you know the background. When you read this, you're just laughing continuously.
Right. Yeah, the
Um,
way he does the accents, the way that he sets up the story, and yeah, just the characters and the way they interact with each other is just like
yeah, I mean, Jones is just a laugh, right? Everyone is just satirized so perfectly.
yeah.
And so the mother becomes friends with the detective's mother, Santa,
Mhm.
and she is a horrible person. She's just a nightmare of a person, who wants Ignatius's mother to get hooked up with the old man who calls everyone a communist. Like, she thinks that what Ignatius's mom needs to do is hook up with this old guy and get Ignatius out of the house. So she's
Yes.
constantly pushing for that, while at the same time Mancuso is being berated by his police department and being given crazy weird outfits to wear in
Mhm.
order to catch characters. And there's a continuous theme throughout the book of characters meeting other characters who we've met before. So, like, Mancuso tries to arrest the Dorian Green,
Mhm.
and gets hit also by that character. And then Jones meets up with they're all connected. They all find ways to
Yeah.
connect. That's it's a type of uh, novel. I forgot the name of it. I think it was kind of something.
Well, it's like a slice of life.
Yes,
That's
but everyone is meeting everyone else through.
yeah.
Everyone gets it's one world within this larger world, and everyone gets to see everybody else's relationship to to each other.
Yeah.
Uh, so Jones is working now at this bar, the joy of a night, and he's making $20 a week. The owner knows that if she fires him, she can go to the police and have him arrested as a vagrant.
Mhm.
So he is looking for a way. He knows that there's something going on where there are packages being hidden, and he knows that there's something else happening, that there's a teenager coming to the place to pick up packages from the owner of the club, and he's suspicious, and he finds out where the packages are, and he can't open it up, but he writes the address of the name of the bar on these packages. And so that later on, that becomes a way for Ignatius to find out where this place is. So there's this kid, there's a high school kid, George, who's buying these, and what he's buying is the owner is taking cheesecake photos of herself and then selling it to high school kids. We're selling it to this kid George, who's selling it somewhere around town, and but George gets uh, Mancuso, the cop, who's getting sicker and sicker because the police department has lets him. He has to be in this men's room where he just is getting sicker and sicker in there, and he confronts George. So now George has to take these photos and find another place to hide them, and
Mm-hmm.
and Ignatius has gotten a job as a hot dog vendor,
Weenie Man.
which he loves. He loves
Yeah.
that job. He loves it. The hot dog carts are hot dogs in the shape of hot dogs. He just loves. He's the best customer of the place. He doesn't pay for his own hot dogs, but now he's getting. He's offered $10 a week from this kid George to keep these packages. But the first thing that Ignatius does is open up the packages and see that they're cheesecake photos, and he's outraged by them, and so now he of course wants more money than $10
Mm-hmm.
for being outraged. So
But he's particularly taken by the model he sees in one of the
yeah,
pictures.
right, 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 right.
And it's just so funny, like the interactions, because I think he has just a little while after that, he has an interaction with Miss Lee, who is the person in those pictures, and it's just funny because he, sees her as this goddess, and she's just like, is trying to get rid. We know that she's not, but she's just sees him as a slob and is trying to constantly get rid of him.
It's amazing. So then we didn't even do the revolution that happens at Levi Pants.
Right.
He
Why he gets
because of
fired.
his because of his relationship with the woman from the Bronx in letter writing, he's got to show her up, and that he's a revolutionary too, and he creates a kind of January 6th situation at Levi Pants where there's no union, no one's complaining about anything, but he creates this whole scenario that makes it out what is going on, and so he's fired from Levi Pants for that, and then
And so he
so
writes the letter. Well, he writes the letter
he
and then
writes a
gets
letter,
fired,
and he
I
gets
think.
fired, and then he writes a letter to one of the other people that is buying the Levi Pants, and is sued, and Levi Pants is sued for a $500,000.
Yeah.
Anyway, but so in the bar, the woman who is trying to get other people to buy drinks has a bird, a parrot, and she's got an idea where her parrot is going to strip her,
Yes.
and so that's what she's training for. And Jones is the African American guy, is all in on this because he's trying to set up this owner for revenge, because she's got him trapped in this bar now,
Yeah.
and he doesn't like it. So he's written the address on the envelopes. He's working with the woman with the parrot stripper, and he's trying to get characters to come into the bar, and he's all for that now because he's seeing a climax that we don't know. He just knows that by creating this scenario, something is going to happen, and he's looking for Ignatius, because
Mm-hmm.
he keeps hearing about this guy, the freak with the hunting hat, and he's looking for him because he knows that guy can help him out. And actually, what happens is on the envelope with the photos is the address that Jones wrote. So Ignatius knows where, has this address in his mind. So when he gets, how does it work with the hot dogs? What is the revolution that happens with the hot dogs? How does that turn into such a fiasco? Is that
What do you
at the
mean?
bar? No, it's at the bar. Oh, he goes to the bar. He goes to the bar, and the parrot goes after.
His earring, because he's dressed like a
Yes,
pirate.
he's just like, and so the parrot sees, and so he ends up in the gutter on the front page of the news,
Mm-hmm.
and his mother then, who has now hooked up with the old man from the beginning, the communist guy, you know, and the woman, the Mancusos, the cops' mother, has set it up so that Ignatius is going to be brought to a mental hospital,
Shipped off, yeah, to the
shipped
loony
off,
bin.
and he gets saved by Myrna Minkoff,
Uh-huh.
who came from the Bronx, who read his letters and said, "This guy's in trouble. I'm going to go save him." And they drive off in a kind of bittersweet, romantic,
Yeah, off
positive
into the
energy.
sunset. I just
You know,
had it.
yeah.
I just had a realization, but part of the what was interesting me about Myrna Minkoff and like the trade off is like it almost seems like Ignatius kind of like switches from his mother or replaces his mother with Myrna Minkoff. But the realization I just had is that I think both Myrna and his mother were operating out of the same protective instinct or the same like concern because Myrna was writing to him like, you sent me this crazy postcard about how you're going to start this revolution, and you know, are you okay? Like, I think there's something wrong with you. And so she comes all the way down, but his mom is experiencing him at the same time doing the same stuff, and she thinks he's gone nuts, you know. And so yeah, it's just, yeah, just a funny thing I just noticed. But yeah, it seems it supports that, you know, him switching from his mother as his support system to Myrna and running off with her at the end
Do you
for
remember what the only thing he takes is from the house?
well, she helps him pack up. They back up a bunch of stuff, don't they? They pack up
No,
a
it's
bunch of
really
notebooks.
it's actually very little. He takes the yo-yo
Oh,
that went underneath his bed, and that yo-yo was special to him because it was bought with Myrna.
yeah.
They bought it together, and he takes the chapters. He's been writing about the philosophy uh, from a medieval point of view, based on Fortuna's wheel, he
Mm-hmm.
calls it, and this philosopher Boethius,
Yes.
and
Boethius.
yeah, and Boethius was also a strange kind of medieval philosopher who was rejected at the time, you know. But you know, since you brought up, I think now is the time for the you know, let's get into this mother story in real life, since we've been talking about the women in the life in the novel. Let's talk about the woman in his life in the real world. I think
Okay.
that, you know, uh
Yeah. That was let's see, I have her name here somewhere. Thelma Ducoin Toole was her full name.
wow.
She was from the she actually had a pretty um her one of her ancestors was in the military and distinguished himself. I forget specifically which conflict.
1812.
Okay, yeah.
1812, because I think 1812 because I think they inherited property
Right.
after the War of 1812, and I think the final battle, if I'm not mistaken, was in Louisiana, and it happened. The battle in Louisiana happened. I think after the papers were signed for the war ending, like they didn't know the war was over.
Mm,
Like it took
interesting.
something like that. But Thelma, so this is so I okay, so really why don't you tell the story about the background of the novel of publishing?
Okay. So, yeah, basically it was a struggle for Robert, or sorry, for John Kennedy. It was a struggle for him to get it published. You know, he was a first-time author. He had written a book when he was 16 years old called the Neon Bible. Had sent it to some publishers, hadn't heard anything back, and gave up. And so this was actually his second novel that he was working on, and he, I guess, initially felt incredibly lucky because he sent it to, let's see, he sent it to
Simon and Schuster.
Simon and Schuster, which was at the time and maybe even still is one of the biggest publishers
For sure.
in the states, if not the world.
Yeah.
So he started having these conversations with Robert Gottlieb, who was the editor at the time. He wound up being the I think the lead editors at a couple places at Schuster and Knopf and the New Yorker, and he's worked at a couple other different places. So
This is a
they
big to do guy.
very very important guy actually, and we'll have to talk about this later. But I have some books that were edited by him that I just
Oh
happen to
shoot.
have on
Wow.
my. But we could talk in detail about him maybe a little later because he's an interesting person in and of of course, in and of himself. But in regards to this story, they have a back and forth via letter for 2 years, where Gottlieb is offering suggestions, and Kennedy, or Toole, sorry, John Kennedy Toole, is doing revisions and editing, and eventually they get to the point where Robert Gottlieb basically says, you know, what you have, I can't work with. And he says something that is so funny to me. He calls it a story about nothing. He basically says, you have, you know, interesting characters, it's very well written, but all these threads that you have, what is the purpose of it? And they need to have purpose. All these threads need to lead towards a purpose, towards a message. And if they don't do that, then what's the point of the novel? And we're not going to be able to, you know, work together. And so basically, that's how it was left. Robert Toole, or John Toole, had gone through all this and got the denial, and basically did the same thing that he did with his first novel, which is he shelved it and kind of tried to move on and wasn't able to. And he had a bunch of other stuff going on in his life besides that. He was, you know, an alcoholic. He was a closeted, either gay or bisexual man, and just deeply, deeply depressed. And I think, you know, just never reached the heights that he expected that he would as a child prodigy. So it's this whole story which, you know, just ended in tragedy. But yeah, some interesting stops along the way.
Publicly, he was an entertainer for the most part.
Yeah.
At towards the end, he became really obviously depressed, but most of the time he was known, he was beloved by students, by anyone who met him. You know, he was entertaining. He could do impressions. He was loved by the military who he was teaching in Puerto Rico.
Mm-hmm.
He had it very much going on, and he got think caught up with the idea that he wrote a famous book and couldn't handle that and he didn't try hard enough to to deal with the way that uh Simon and Schuster was playing around with his mind a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like nobody said, "Well, write another book, and then we'll see about this one." Or he wasn't. And there might have been things like, Jones, the character in the book, says the N word a lot.
Sure.
In that self uh, derogatory, not derogatory, but in the self in the way that people of color can use the word freely. That is used in the book freely. You're talking about the South. You're talking about New Orleans, a racist town. I wondered if the Levi pants was seen as anti-Semitic in some ways. The handling, even that's why I kind of mentioned, oh, the guy's name is Gus, but there is a kind of there's something else that was possibly could have been seen as anti-Semitic, but it's
Yeah.
not coming to me right now of
Well,
what it is. But when you were doing making a satire, it becomes one of the issues of today's world is are you punching down or punching up? And
right.
John Kennedy Toole was always punching up, but it could be misunderstood. Some of the language could have been misunderstood, and I thought maybe that had something to do with it. It must have pushed this guy, the editors, in some way, because he was the guy who signed Pynchon. He signed a lot of great writers of the
Many,
time.
many.
Yeah, and
So
so it was just odd how Kennedy Toole was received by, and it's not like, and Kennedy Toole had the pedigree. I mean, it's not like he was just someone off the street. I mean, he went to Columbia. He graduated in a year. I forgot what his. I know that he wrote a interesting that his paper was on an interesting character, but I can't remember who it is now.
hmm.
It's I meant to look into that to see if I could find you know who John Kennedy Toole wrote about at Columbia.
Yeah.
I'll get back to you on that.
Well,
Uh,
I think I can shed some light
oh,
on
yeah, please.
any questions you might have, because despite I don't have any hard or fast rules for this podcast, of course, but I never expected to read multiple books. But here we are. So I not only read Confederacy of Dunces, I also read another book called uh, where is it? I just had it. The Life of John Kennedy Toole.
Wow.
Wait, but that's the the underscript. This why is it so hard to find this? Okay, but basically I read a biography of him. There are two.
Oh, wow.
There's one that's publicly accessible through the internet, or like the Wayback Machine on the Internet Archive. And then there's another one that you have to actually buy. And it was interesting reading about all the rights and everything about this, because I was telling you about this yesterday. But one of the agents that is mentioned in one of the letters actually started the agency that now controls the rights for the manuscript and a lot of like all of the letters and things.
Wow.
So you can't even see the letters. You have to go to probably to a university. I think they're spread between a couple schools. But you actually have to go to the universities, and you can't take pictures of them or photocopy them without
Wow.
express permission from this company. But anyways, I digress. I think
It's an interesting digression, actually. It adds to the weirdness of
Yeah.
the not being published of the book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But this book, I will, if you don't mind, I'll read you a section from this book
Please.
that might help a little bit. So this is a section from one of the letters, and so I think they're like some of the letters were destroyed by his mother, but there are like 10
The
total
suicide
letters.
note was destroyed by his mother.
Yeah, it's super weird. A lot of this stuff surrounding this book was just destroyed. There was like a flood in New Orleans. It
Right.
had like police records and stuff,
Right.
and those were all destroyed. So like a lot of stuff surrounding this guy specifically, and then the book itself were destroyed, which is kind of crazy. Okay, so let's see. So in this letter, he's talking about first the lady who ends up being the agent who starts the company that controls the rights, and then he talks about the book and their conversations about the book because he wants this lady to be Tool's agent. Let me see. In many ways, I think you've done an excellent job of pulling the plot together and of making sense out of certain nonsense things. Of strengthening certain characters, of eliminating certain others, the book is much better. It is still not right. Let me interrupt to say that the other opinion I wanted was that of Candida Donadio, a young woman who is probably the best literary agent in town, one of my closest friends. She handles Joe Heller, Bruce Friedman, John Cheever, Nelson Algren, Thomas Pynchon, Harvey Swados, Philip Roth ad infinitum. And so I actually, just a quick interruption, I brought some books, and this is all going to come together. But if you can see, these are 2 books by Chaim Potok.
Oh, wow. Okay. There's a little bit of glare
oh.
on the Chosen. Okay, now I see it.
Okay, I'll bring it back here.
Yeah, there you go.
So there are these.
Yeah.
I also have, and maybe we can do this one in a further show. I have some Philip Roth. Some Philip Roth. So this would be a fun one. And then he also, so the reason him and Candida are such good friends is because she brought him the manuscript for Catch-22.
Wow.
It was like a 75-page manuscript, and it was actually called Catch-18. But there was another book with 18 in the title, so they changed it last minute to Catch-22. But it was like the big claim to fame was her bringing him and his, and the editing company Catch-22. But yeah. So continuing.
Yeah.
Let's see. I wanted to know what she thought for various reasons because she is the agent for you. Because what you're good at would delight her. Because her judgment is accurate. Because frankly, if she and I can't figure out what to do with you, it's not likely that anyone else will be able to. Anyway,
fuck you.
Right? Having introduced her, we talked
The
for
ego.
the ego. It's yeah. We talked for an hour on the phone Sunday night, and as often happens, had exactly the same reactions. Liked the same parts, didn't like the same parts, had the same doubts, and the same excitements. What we think is this, that you are wildly funny, often funnier than almost anyone around, and are kind of funny. That many of the characters are wonderful, Burma, and pay attention to which characters. That many of the characters are wonderful. Burma, Santa, Irene, Mancuso, Lana Lee, and others. Miss Trixie, too. That certain things don't work. Myrna, in particular. That Ignatius...
Wow. Myrna. Okay, that's where the anti-Semitism. There you go. I was like, I knew there was something else going on here. And she's clearly Jewish, and there's Jewish kind of innuendo within the conversations and letters between them.
Well, he specifically because he worked at girls' schools, so he specifically and in the city, so he specifically based her character off of Jewish New York City girls, and so I just thought it was funny that he introduces Candida. I don't know if she was Jewish. I don't think it necessarily matters because she was a New York woman in New York, a wealthy woman in New York. So she probably had a similar reaction to Myrna's character because she's a woman. She's a woman. She's a New York woman, and she
But
probably
maybe
has.
because of the time, also the way, it's a parody of a left wing extremist.
Right.
Myrna's a left wing extremist who's sleeping around with. Oh, in her letter, she talks about how she's sleeping around with musicians and you know political people, and how she's disappointed by them in the end.
Yeah, she talks about meeting up with an Israeli
Yes,
guy and
that's right.
being getting assaulted. I think she intimates that he
Yes.
assaults her.
So I wonder. Oh
So
man.
that's like another thing. And the letter's not over yet.
Yeah.
There is
Okay.
more,
Let's
but
hear
it's
it.
almost over. Okay, so let's see. Myrna in particular, that Ignatius is in trouble. That he's not as good as you think he is, and there is too much of him. That the Levi's are not so hot. That the book is considerably too long. That certain scenes, particularly in my favorite, the civil rights demonstration in the factory, are glories. The others are washouts, what Joe Heller called black eyes and feathers in my cap. All this aside, there's another problem. That with all its wonderfulnesses, the book, even better plotted and still better plottable, does not have a reason. It's a brilliant exercise in invention, but unlike Catch 22 and Mother's Kisses and V and the others, it isn't really about anything. And that's something no one can do anything about. Certainly an editor can't say, put meaning in, which is all very well, but what to do? The book could be improved, and published, but it wouldn't succeed. We could never say that it was anything. On the other hand, we can't abandon it, or you. We won't. And there's more to it. But it's
Wow.
I think he
What a complicated letter to receive.
yes.
If
And
you are just even the littlest bit insecure, and you've done something great, and you get a letter like this
from the top of the industry, by the way,
from the
from the
top of the
very, very top of the industry. Just another quick detail. His secretary says that he is known for his smooth rejections. That he has been able to get people to frame his rejection letters because of how complimentary they are, while at the
Oh
same
my
time
God.
being
I have one right
rejected.
here. Hold on. I have
Yeah.
one. No, I do. Where's my rejection letter?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
So
Where is it?
yeah, and then like I think after this letter, I'm pretty sure that they talk a little bit, and then it gets to the
Hold on
point
one second.
where
I'm looking. 1 second. I'm looking for a rejection letter that I
okay,
got from Twilight Zone magazine from the
hey,
80s.
hey,
Oh, here it
that's
is.
fun. Oh, you got you got it framed.
I got it framed.
Nice.
And it says, "Thanks very much for giving us a look at the enclosed manuscript. We've considered it carefully, both for the Twilight Zone short story contest and from the magazine itself. And we're
Hmm.
sorry to say that the material doesn't quite fit our needs. We're returning it now with thanks for your interest in our magazine." And then in script it says unusual and original. So what a mixed
Hey,
message.
yeah,
Too unusual and original, but keep going. Maybe one day you won't be as unusual and original, which I'm
yeah,
still, which I'm still trying to do to write. Like, I mean,
and
I'm apparently still too unusual and original.
but the thing is, they were straight up with you about it. They told you in one letter.
Yeah,
With this, it was like he was writing these letters, but when you
like two
learn like the
years.
context about it, like he never sat down and wrote his own letter. He always narrated the letters to the secretary. So he was basically talking to the guy through the secretary, which he didn't do with any of his other writers. He never addressed John by his first name, always called him Mr. Toole. and then called him by his middle name, like the one time they
Well,
talked
no,
or
Ken
something
is
like that, or like
Ken.
his
A lot of people called him Ken. A lot of people
yeah
knew him as Ken.
yeah.
That
So
is
maybe
true.
called him John or something like that. Cause and then there was let's see, there was one other thing where they never met in person. It's always he was
Yeah,
always like, sorry, I'm busy. I would love to meet. You should try to come, but never takes the time to cement a plan to meet up. Is
it's
always too
weird.
busy.
So let's go now to actually how it got published, if that's
Okay.
okay. Are you done with that portion of it?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So let's see now how it actually happened.
Yes. Okay. So that all happens. It's the rejection. You know, John. He puts up the book. He is drinking heavily. He's been a heavy alcoholic pretty much this entire time, especially when he was writing the book too. So like, props to him for
Oh
like
wow, I didn't
even
realize
getting
that.
it out. Oh yeah, they go into great detail about how the
Wow.
only thing to do in Puerto Rico at the time was to drink, and
Wow.
they'd be drunk for days on end.
Wow.
Yeah, it sounds crazy, but yeah, so he yeah, basically spirals. He's working at a school, but they love him so much that they take as long as they can to fire him. The headmistress, I think, keeps him on for a long time past, you know, all the students and all the teachers and parents are complaining about him. Eventually they get rid of him. He has to go back, move back in with his parents, and his mom, which I think is really just the biggest shame of it all. Is as you can see, I think in the book, both Ignatius and his mother enable each other, kind of when they're drinking, and so it was the same situation with Ken and his mom, is that they would enable each other and drink a lot, and she was the big person who was pushing these kind of anti-Semitic conspiracy theories.
Oh
And
wow.
yeah, so she calls the editor, like, you know, like a Jewish ghoul, like a monster, like unhuman.
Wow.
um Goes off about it, and they say that she really influenced him into, you know, that frame of mind. And so eventually he gets to the point where he uh leaves and he gets a car. He drives across the country. He was a huge fan of, I think he goes to Dolly World. He was a big fan of Dolly. Does he go to Dolly World? Dolly World's in Florida. He goes to Dolly World, and then he goes out to Marilyn Manson or Marilyn Monroe's, I think, one of her old home or whatever.
He loved Maryland.
He loved Marilyn Monroe. So he drove out to California, and then he drove back, went to Dolly World,
It's hard to
and
know if he
what a
ever really made
coincidence!
it out west. Is it
That
sure? Are you sure that he made it out west? He
there were
was driving
receipts.
around kind of in circles. I heard
They said that
like
there were
55 days. He took $1,500 out of the
yeah.
bank, and he was driving to get out west
There was a
because
stack of papers.
yeah.
There wasn't anything in the car. The car was like immaculately clean.
Oh wow.
When they found it, they said it was so clean that it looked like he had been gone for days and not weeks. So the only
Wow.
thing in the car was him, a stack of paper, and a gun. And
Wow.
in the stack of papers, there were receipts. I think there was a receipt for Dollar World and then a receipt for, you know, California maybe. And then his
Oh, okay.
mom, so a police officer, saw the papers, looked through them real quick, and then his mom got a hold of the papers, and his mom destroyed the paper. It was either his mom destroyed the papers or the papers got
Mom
destroyed.
destroyed the suicide note.
Yeah. Mom destroyed the suicide note, so I think maybe some of the papers were like in the basement of the police of the something happened where the police station got flooded and
But yeah, no,
paperwork got
it was that
destroyed.
hurricane you mentioned.
Yeah.
It's the
Um
hurricane.
so they find him, he's gone, of course. And then I think 10 years after that, his mom is going through his stuff in his room, finds the manuscript, which was sitting on top of a dresser or something like that. Reads it
Was in a box.
in a box.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
felt, it to me, when I heard the way it was described, it made it sound like, the ashes of a pet in a box.
Yeah. Yeah. Just
It
loose
kind of,
leaf, gray loose leaf sheets.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah, and she heard that Walker Percy,
Mm-hmm.
the great writer Walker Percy, uh is, there's actually, I think that we should do one of his books too, just so you get an idea of the relationship between how he must have read John Kennedy Toole's book and been like, holy shit, this guy's really great. He was teaching at Loyola,
Mm-hmm.
and she made her brother drive there, and she insisted that he read it. And Walker Percy did not want to read a dead writer's book from a mother, but he said, I'll read a paragraph or a couple of pages. And then he was like, holy shit, this is an incredible book.
Yeah, yeah, she took it. Yeah, and she took it all over the place. He was far from the
Yeah,
first person.
right.
The sad part about it, at least for me, is that the support from her didn't come until after he was already dead. So it almost to me kind of seems like a bit opportunistic on her end.
She
Um,
was she was a weird one, and
yeah, she was a
I want
narcissist.
she was a total a narcissist in that way of like, even after the book got published, in the interviews she would have to play piano for people,
Mm-hmm.
and she was people who had met her said she was a monster, and I was thinking about this just today, how he the John Kennedy Toole was not a monster. He was a really nice, sweet man who always was entertaining people, and she trained him to be an entertainer, and how she was the monster. And I thought, what an ingenious moment for an author. Instead of writing about a mother who's the monster, he writes about a main character who is his mother. Like the Ignatius Riley is actually the mother's character, and the mother is him. In some ways, he's reversed the ideas of the characters.
Hmm.
He's been writing. Ignatius is the mother. He's writing about the way his mother thinks in many ways.
Okay.
I know that that's hard to maybe digest.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanna explore it, I'm here to take the ride with
I
you.
I just, yeah, thank you.
You're
Uh,
welcome.
you just look to see the negative qualities of what Ignatius is.
Mm-hmm.
His outrageousness. He's always in people's faces. That's how she's described.
Yeah.
She's described as outrageous and in your face, and 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 there's and you said so before, how she's talking negatively about Gottlieb and stuff. And I think, what an interesting idea, that if you are tormented as someone growing up with a mother who is a monster, instead of making your mother the monster in a book, you make the character that people would think is you, that you're talking about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you do the reflection of, you're looking in the mirror of a person. You know how many times that people will say that if you're in a fight with someone, or that someone has an opposing view, and you hate them or something, that is actually a reflection of what's inside of you, that
Sure.
there's an aspect.
Yeah.
that I think that he might have been doing some of that in this book, where he was reflecting not really upon his own identity, but also using his mother's real character and making it about putting it in Ignatius's character. I mean,
Yeah.
an author's writing, and all the characters are him, right? All
Mhm.
aspects of it, and the more believable a character is, the more that author has looked at aspects of his own personality, or at least that's the way it's been described. That a really good characterization is actually an author looking at himself, aspects of himself, and putting those characteristics of 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 others into his own writing. Did
Sure.
that make sense?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So
Yeah. And
so so there's that.
yeah, I mean, I definitely see that where you're coming from with the comparison, because it does definitely feels like reading about, reading about Ken and all his anxieties and depressions, and how Ignatius really seems to be the opposite of that. Ignatius is incredibly bold and incredibly uncaring about, the opinions and thoughts and feelings of other people. He's like a very kind of free character in that he just kind of does what he wants to do, and damn the consequences. And then it just, it seems to, you know, not that it always works out for him, but at the very least, he's not like in worrying about anxiety. He's not in a bed of anxiety. He's
Except his valve.
except
His
his
valve is
valve, yeah.
his valve
But
is
I
his
think that's just
anxiety.
indigestion. Honestly, it seems,
No,
because I
no,
have indigestion. It feels very much like he's just talking about indigestion.
no. It's not just indigestion, because he's referring back to things that are happening in life and whether the valve is open or closed.
Yeah, I think that he wants to believe that's what it is, but I think the reality is that it's just it's it's like I always think when I was in grade school, we read, A Christmas Carol,
Yeah.
and one of the things that always stuck out to me was Ebenezer talks about seeing one of the ghosts for the first time, seeing the first ghost, and how it was probably some mustard or like a piece of sausage, and how like indigestion apparently makes people see visions or something, or he was just had indigestion, and that kind of stuck with me. But I think, yeah, like he sees it as like this big thing that he's blowing out of proportion because he's a narcissist. He can't just have he can't just have eaten 12 hot dogs, and so he has to fart and burp and he can't get it out. No, he has a valve because he's better than everyone else, like his mother, you know, or like
Yeah.
I guess Tool's mother, just like the kind of narcissistic, uh, narcissistic courageousness or
You know,
whatever.
having grown up with a woman who was a child, who was a Holocaust survivor,
Yeah,
and growing up with weirdness, maybe that's where I'm getting my ideas from. Maybe I'm just referring to my own history
yeah,
of and my mom. Here's the thing about my mom.
mm-hmm,
My mom was incredibly sweet little girl. She was like 5'1" in height, and everyone saw her as vivacious, and but
yeah,
but behind the scenes in the house, she could be a monster. And I was so lucky that I have a aunt. I was born in '60, and my aunt was born in '50,
mm,
so that was after the war. And my mother treated my aunt and me the same way privately, which was horrible.
yeah. That's wild.
Just really treated us horrible. But people didn't know what we were fucking talking about,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
because my mom was always this wonderful vivacious. Like when you see footage of Thelma Kennedy, she's open, she's gregarious, she's she wants to play a song for you, she wants to talk about her son. but that is not what who she was
Right.
to her son. And he left, never going back there, never going back. And I think when he left, when he took the $1,500 out, I think he had seen her like the day before. It's like January 20th of '68. It was something is related to inauguration day of Nixon in
Yeah.
'68.
Okay.
Uh, and I know that, so I know that there was a monster aspect to his mother, which kind of really pushed this along
S-
where it got to a suicide.
Some interesting details, some tea from around the end from the book. My personal opinion is that part of the reason why he was never comfortable, coming out publicly or living life like as a gay man was because of her. They talk about how near the end, one of his friends went to go see him at his house with his mom, and there were men there. There were like a bunch of young gay men around,
Oh wow.
and there are different friends of his who are also gay, who talk about how he never like directly came out to them, but would tell them about men that he had relationships with. And there's
Oh,
actually a really cool story at the end where they talk to a man who claims to have had a relationship, like a very brief, very drunk relationship with him at the end of near the end of his life in some bar in, I don't know, somewhere in some town somewhere. And he just came off. He's like just an incredible, sad, closeted, depressed kind of guy. But yeah, I think that in those situations, it's like it can easily turn, especially when there's mass amounts of trauma involved. Can easily turn into like abusive relationships, and their relationship was so close. They would drink together. They would have she taught him how to dance and sing and and gave
right.
him manners lessons and all that stuff. So she made him into the
Yeah.
person who was capable of doing all this stuff. And then I think that also was part of what broke him at the end, was just not having, like you're saying, he didn't go home. Maybe he didn't feel like he had one at the end.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. I didn't know any of that. That's
Yeah.
truly great. And so I think, in conclusion, though,
Mm-hmm.
I think we just have to remember how funny and great this book is, and
Yeah.
how haunted a book it is. How when you
Incredibly.
read it after you know the history and you're reading the book, it is such a bittersweet. It is so funny, so rich in humor, and just makes you. It is one of those rare books that really make you laugh out loud. I mean, the
Yes.
characters are just tremendous, and yet it has a haunting, the New Orleans story of ghosts and stuff, and so I'll just briefly tell you that Rach is a psych nurse practitioner, and she was at a conference in New Orleans, and I went down with her,
Uh-huh.
and we were going into she was on a break, and we were going into a cemetery, and I'm talking to her, and I look, and I was like, where is she? I turn around, and she's like at the gates. She could not come in. And she had been to New Orleans years before, had an experience. I'll let her tell the story one day. I'm not going to tell you
Okay.
the whole story, but she had a real experience
Mm.
a decade earlier, and so she went back to the conference, and I was going to all the places in town where the stores of voodoo stores and all that. And I went into three different stores, and I started telling the story about what happened to Rachel in New Orleans. And each one of these store owners just took me to the back of the room, like I was no longer a tourist.
Yeah.
Now they took me to the back. They all had notebooks. They were writing down this story,
Uh-huh.
and when I told them a psych nurse practitioner, and they were all like, we get it. There's a connection between the dead in New Orleans and psych nurse practitioners. People
Wow.
are and they gave me some stuff to one store just gave it to me for free. This stuff that she should take a bath in,
Okay.
and I went home. She was angry that that I made her take this bath, but she took the bath and then she left and she went to the cemetery in the middle of the night by herself.
Wow. Good for her.
So yeah, yeah. So I mean, it goes to show you about what that town, and you
Yeah.
get that there are qualities in this book that show off those qualities of a haunting, that there's something haunting. And now that you told me about how he's gay, because I never understood that about him, that was something that was haunting him his whole life as well, and
Hmm.
and maybe how he couldn't express that to his mother, who he felt so close to.
Right. Well, I think she
Maybe
knew.
that
I
was
think she probably used it against him.
mm, she might have. So then I have this one thing. Let me see. I took some notes. Uh,
Just
yeah, yeah, yeah.
one
Please.
more quick detail. Okay,
Yeah.
so he was he was living with his parents. He had men over. They were all hanging out. His mom was there. So his mom gets the money. There's all sorts of legal stuff she goes through, rigmarole that she makes happen. But anyway, at the end of the day, she passes and she leaves her money to like 5 different young men.
Wow.
Yeah, so she was doing the same thing that he was doing. At the
Wow.
end, is she was a sugar mama. It was
Wow.
it's so funny to read.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah. Mhm.
So I thought, there's the qualities that are like Ignatius when you read this book. If you have take a moment and just see it as an incel,
Yeah.
and then understand this book, Confederacy of Dunces. So I wrote, and this is something that I think people should be writing to their senators. I write to you as an American citizen, an artist, and a believer in the strange, stubborn magic of our national character. I respectively propose the establishment of Jan 6th as Confederacy of Dunces Day, a
Hey.
federal observance dedicated to the uniquely American tradition of confronting folly with humor, reflection, and literary insight. John Kennedy Toole's A Confederacy of Dunces stands as one of the great satirical works of our nation, a reminder that absurdity, when left unchecked, can swell into chaos, but when recognized, can be transformed into wisdom. Establishing this holiday would not erase or diminish a serious event associated with Jan 6th. Instead, it would reclaim the date as a moment of national reflection, encouraging Americans to confront misinformation, uh, ex, uh, confront confront misinformation, extreme extremism, and
Mhm.
public foolishness with the disarming power of satire.
Yeah.
You were so. Oh my God, that was brilliant.
I had my finger on the
You're
button.
I wonder if you even heard a single word I said. You were
I
just
did.
like.
I I
That was
caught like
brilliant. Oh my God, you really that. Oh
very
my
funny.
God, I think we got to end there.
Okay. All right. We I do I do want to say
Yeah.
that just quickly,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we are talking about politics and things of that nature. I did find something that I would consider to be maybe like a Tristero's horn in this. You know,
Wow.
I think
Nice.
and maybe this is something we can do in the future where we kind of have like a conversation about what we've read and maybe
Yeah.
like the
Yeah. Yeah.
threads that
100%.
connect the stuff that we've read.
Yeah.
But just a fun little detail, and I don't know what this means, and I'm sure it doesn't mean anything. But Robert Gottlieb, right?
Yeah.
Robert Gottlieb. Have you ever heard of the Birch Walther School?
No.
So Robert Gottlieb went to high school at this school called the Birch Walther School. It's at 9 East 71st. It was originally a girls' school. So he went there with he didn't go there with these people, but some notable alumni from the school are Barbara Walters, Alfred A. Knopf Jr., who he went to school with, and he worked at Knopf.
Wow.
And then
Publisher also.
yeah, huge.
Not books. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Gardner L. Tucker, if you know who that is. He
No.
was former director of IBM Research. He was the Assistant Secretary of Defense under Nixon and also the Assistant Secretary General of NATO.
Wow.
Okay. So, Birch Walther School in 1996 was bought. Who do you think bought the Birch Walther School in 1996? Oh, and an additional detail, this might give it away, but Bill Cosby at one point lived across the street from this school. Any guesses?
Some sexual deviant.
Well, yeah. Duh. Okay, Leslie Wexner. And
Oh
then
wow.
Leslie Wexner then turned around and sold the school to Jeffrey Epstein.
Wow.
and the horn blows.
Is it? Oh, you know what? You got to get a muted horn too.
Yeah, what do you think that sounds like? A
I don't
fart?
know. Probably.
But yeah, I was just looking through. I was looking at just
That is
details of people
crazy.
involved.
That
It's
that is
just one of those
crazy
things.
conspiratorial things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I think at the end of the day, after seeing this, I do think that Ken's mom was maybe partially right in terms of there being an element of the Jewish characters being maybe offensive or just maybe a little too ham-fisted. Because the thing is, like, I think the major difference between those characters and the other characters in the book is class. You have the highest class members in the book are all Jewish, whereas opposed to everybody else is down here. And so I think
Yeah.
that could be
Yeah.
part of it. And then I think that was really all I had to say.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It was a wild ride going through. Oh, one more little detail.
Yeah.
So that Candida Donadio, who was the assistant and opened this it was called Macintosh and Otis, by the way. That was the business that was opened by her and a couple other people. It was like it was ran by women for a while. But yeah, just really cool. And they also did a bunch of book stuff. But she was a close friend with Pynchon, and she actually sold 100 letters that Pynchon wrote her for like $45,000 at one point. So a bunch of public letters from Pynchon are actually from her as well.
I'm sure he's not happy about that.
I don't know. I guess we'll have to. I don't know if he commented publicly. I don't know if
I mean,
that's
he's still alive. I wonder what he thinks about that.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's weird.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't. I didn't see any comments from him, but I guess that's his thing. He's private, right? He's a pretty private guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, all
I
these
guess,
tangled
maybe he
letters.
must have been all right with it.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully she asked him. I mean, he wrote her 100 letters, so hopefully they had some rapport at that by that
Be
stage in the
interesting. It
relationship.
actually would be interesting to compare those letters with the letters with John Kennedy Toole.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We have to like maybe we can plan a road trip or something. Go
Yeah,
down to New Orleans and look at these books
yeah,
or
yeah.
look at these papers, anyways. But yeah.
I know a lot of good places down there to eat. That's for sure.
All right. Well, I like po' boys.
Yeah,
Did you ever have when that po' boy spot was open up down the street from
yeah.
Trader Joe's?
I used to. Yeah, I'm still friends with him on Facebook.
Oh, cool.
He was an actor.
He's an actor.
Yeah,
The guy who opened, who ran,
yeah,
who
yeah,
opened it, who
yeah.
owned it. Okay.
I don't know if he's still acting.
Yeah. I don't know if I knew him. I knew some of the guys who worked there.
Yeah, I
One of
like that
them.
place.
Yeah, me too. Okay. Well,
All right.
I think that concludes
We did it.
today's conversation. I think we absolutely did do it.
Yeah,
You did a wonderful job
yeah.
going through it. And yeah, so
Read the book.
read the
I have an
book.
idea for next week's book.
Yeah, I was gonna
It
ask.
is it's a Walker Percy book.
Walker Percy. Who's that?
The guy who printed the Confederacy of Dunces.
Okay.
He's the one who discovered. He took the manuscript from her.
Right.
It's called Lost in the Cosmos.
Walter Percy, Lost in the Cosmos.
Yeah, it's a self-help. It's not really a self-help book, but it is. It was probably misplaced in the self-help section. Look up Walker Percy. He's an interesting writer. He did a book called The Moviegoer that's amazing, and he did some other books. And he's kind of an interesting guy. And I thought maybe because he's the one who discovered really the book and made sure that it got published. It was published privately by University Press originally, and it has over a million. It has. It's probably the most copies ever sold by a university press of a
Wow.
book.
Okay.
It was
That's
sold over 1 million copies, close to 2 million from what I understand. And so Walker Percy is an important literary person in the same way that all the people that they published, like Joseph Heller, or I mean, who are some of the other names that you named today? Joseph Heller, Pynchon, Philip Roth.
mhm.
Yeah, well,
But
he's a name in that league.
okay. The last
I don't.
self-help book. Yeah, I hadn't heard of him before we started
Yeah,
working on this book.
and that's why I thought, and that's an interesting concept book that I wouldn't mind rereading.
Okay. Yeah, it'd be
I don't know if
interesting
you
to.
see if you have something else, we'll talk.
Yeah, I'll see if I can
Let's
find a
talk
copy
later.
of it. I think it would be
Yeah,
definitely interesting to look into also just like that genre, like the genre of self-help book, because I feel like there's probably some hidden sort of stuff going on there, some more muted horns we could find. But
yeah. Well, for sure. Oh, I like that idea. And also, this book, it's almost like Ignatius wrote the book.
interesting. Okay.
It has that kind of sense of humor. It's very bright and fun.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
we'll talk. We'll talk.
Yeah, we'll talk.
All
Great
right.
show.
Great show. All right,
I'll,
guys.
I'll send you the full letter that I have for the Senate.
Please do. Yeah, I can post it.
Yeah,
And guys at home, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe.
that's right.